Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Butt Fumble Sports Daily Show on this Wednesday as we march our way through the work week and get closer to Thursday night football a little bit more than 24 hours from now. But we also have NHL and NBA college basketball tonight, and of course, the college football conference championships on the horizon. So once again, a loaded show that we have here at Butt Fumble Sports. I hope you're excited for it. I certainly am. Welcome into the show, no matter where you're watching, no matter the platform. TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. We are live every single day at 5 p.m. Eastern, coming on a little bit earlier today. Hope you guys are excited about the show that we have ahead. We're going to get to your fantasy questions, your sports betting questions, talk about some things around the world of sports, like Justin Fields, both from a fantasy standpoint and from a football standpoint. We'll talk about his future in Chicago. Might have some people join us during the show. Really want to open things up for you guys on this Wednesday and really make it a Butt Fumbler Sports Wednesday for all of you. Appreciate you being with us. Make sure that you guys hit that follow button no matter where you're watching or the platform. We're all across YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Kick. Make sure you subscribe to every single one of them so you never miss our content, the live shows, and you always get the opportunity to interact with us every single day. We'll be getting to your fantasy questions throughout the course of the show. Make sure you throw them in the comments section. Again, we're going to be checking every single platform because these are crucial weeks for you fantasy owners as we get closer to the playoffs. Who to pick up on the waiver wire, who to start. If some of you don't have trade deadlines, who to still make moves for that won't get vetoed by other owners in the league. So we'll do everything we can. Let's get into some of these questions. Thoughts on Fields. If you're asking about what I think his future is in Chicago, I think the Bears should build around him. I still believe that he has as good an option of turning into an NFL caliber quarterback as anybody else, especially if you add a Marvin Harrison Jr. and a good offensive lineman to go with Darnell Wright. I think the Chicago Bears are far closer to being a successful team than people think right now. Just don't take Justin Fields on the limited sample size that you've seen so far. Continue to build around him. That would be my take. Carson, Love, or Murray this week? I definitely go Kyler Murray, Carson. Kyler Murray. Nico, what's good? Great to see you this afternoon. Mike, Pollard or Pittman? Great question. I think Pollard's going to score a touchdown tomorrow. I think Pittman could have maybe a good game overall. I think Pittman's going to be a good wide receiver, but I'll go Pollard, especially because he's been on a good touchdown streak. I do think it continues tomorrow. Seahawks are not a good run defense when it comes to touchdowns. JR, Victor, Sutton, or Ridley? I'm going to lean towards Ridley just because the Cincinnati Bengals are so bad in the passing defense. It's close. I wish you could start both because I think actually Sutton is worth a start this week. Dylan, P. Ryan or McLaughlin? I feel like P. Ryan's the better play, but I got to admit that's a bit of a coin flip right there. Eli, Jerome Ford, or Brian Robinson Jr. because JT is out. Well, Brian Robinson, JT being out. Oh, you had him on your team. Gotcha. Well, between that group, I'm hearing Joe Flacco might be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns this week. Yikes. Doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in that run game. They play a Rams team that's decent against the run. Brian Robinson Jr. against the Dolphins. Feel like he's got maybe a better chance of having a good game. I'll lean towards Brian Robinson Jr. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Again, throw your questions and comments in no matter the platform. We'll get to as many as we can over the course of the show. Sorry, I meant trade Pollard for Pittman. Ooh, gotcha. No, I wouldn't do that. I'd hold on to Pollard right now. Should I trade Waddle and Breece Hall for Bijan? I have Gibbs, Justin Jefferson, Adams, and Achane. The answer is yes, I would. The answer is yes, I would. Patrick M19 asks, Mike Evans, Swift, Pittman, or Breece Hall, pick two. I'll go Pittman. And for the moment, I'm going to lean slightly towards Mike Evans. I don't love the matchup, but I think he's better than Swift. I think he's better than Breece Hall. So Patrick, I'll go Pittman and Mike Evans. Legion Blitz, Freiermuth, McBride, Taysom Hill. Really close on this one. I'm going to go Freiermuth just barely over McBride. I traded Puka, Evans, and Ramondre for A.J. Brown, Aaron Jones, and Walker. Did I win this trade? Well, I feel like every player you've touched has gotten hurt. Walker is not going to play tomorrow, guys. Kenneth Walker out for Thursday night's game. Aaron Jones, again, we're seeing what his status is for Sunday. I haven't heard just yet. A.J. Brown is still a great own. I do think you won the trade overall. Jonathan, thank you so much. Any news on Olave for the week? Let's take a quick look here. Haven't heard anything just yet of all the players actually that were... He did practice on Wednesday, so we take that as a positive. He did return to practice. So for Olave, we certainly have that as a tick up in positive news. John Tosh, you got to go with the Cowboys defense right now. John Tosh, Cowboys defense is too good to play week to week. B. Rand, pick 3. I'd go Calvin Ridley. I'd go Zach Moss. And I'm going to go Austin Eckler just barely. Kyron's matchup isn't good enough for me. I prefer Austin Eckler. Jacob M., Kupp, Brown, Rice, or Downs. Let's put Cooper Kupp to the side. I'm not big on him right now. I wouldn't, if it's Hollywood Brown, which I'm assuming it is, let's take him out of it. It's really between Rice and Downs. I like both of them. I'll lean towards Rice just barely, very, very close, but I'm leaning towards Rice. Kobe Williams or Montgomery. I'm going to go David Montgomery because I think he gets in the end zone, so I'm going to go Montgomery barely. Bandito, pick 2. Hall, Williams, Pacheco. I also have the Falcons defense, who is versus the Jets. We're good with the Falcons. I love Pacheco this week. Pacheco is absolutely a start for me. Between the 2 running backs, I'd go Kyron Williams. I don't have enough faith in Breece Hall. Alper, Achane, Ramondre Stevenson. Man, close. I'm going to lean for the moment towards Achane. Don't like what I'm hearing out of New England that it could be Bailey Zappi as the quarterback. I think it's going to make it even harder to run the ball, so I'm going to avoid Ramondre Stevenson this week. Brandon McCaffrey for Tyreek Hill. Do it. I'd do it right now. Yes, I would. A.J. Brown for Pacheco and DJ Moore. Zach, not a bad trade, actually. Not a bad trade. Devo, Etienne, and Flowers for Chase and Najee Harris. I'd rather have Etienne and Flowers. Chris Films, trade Kyron Williams for Raheem Mostert. Yes. I do like that. Dre, trade Olave for Metcalf and Warren in a 12-man league. Yes, I would, Dre. Yes, I would. Joker, pick 3. Debo, Ayuk, Rice, or Pittman. Ooh, great question. I'm gonna go Ayuk and Debo, and I'm gonna lean towards Rice. Pittman's the odd man out. I love him, but Titans aren't a team that give up a lot of passing touchdowns. They give up more rushing touchdowns. I actually think Zach Moss is actually a pretty good play to get a rushing touchdown this week. But Debo and Ayuk could both find the end zone, and frankly, Rice's matchup against the Packers isn't as good as Pittman's, but I like what I'm seeing from the Chiefs offense this past week. I think Rashee Rice is going to continue to perform well just based on recent data. So the matchup is more favorable towards Pittman, but I'm maybe leaning a little bit more towards Rice. Oh, we got hit with the ads. I'll have Chase, AJ, and Adams plus Hollywood Brown. Peace Control, I would go... I'll have Chase. Yeah, I was confused by the question you wrote. Swag Messiah, I traded Jamar Chase for Nico Collins. You absolutely won it, Swag. Devo, I'd go Rashee Rice and Achane. I think. It's close. I don't love Puka's matchup. Luis, Moss, or Achane. The more I study it, the more I like Moss to find the end zone. If Achane's a full start, if we have a full upgrade to, no issue with the knee, no problem, maybe on Sunday we reconsider. But for Luis, for right now, I like Achane. Anush, start Swift, Thielen, or Ridley. For the moment, I'm starting Ridley. I like Thielen's matchup, but Ridley has a better one. Ridley would be the play for me. I also think this could be Jacksonville's real coming out party. I think they performed really well over the last few weeks, but people are still kind of doubting them after what we saw against the San Francisco 49ers, them kind of laying that egg at home. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars play a much better game. Obviously, the opponent kind of fits it perfectly, but I expect that we're going to see Trevor Lawrence perform well. I think that ETN's going to have a really big game. I think there are a number of members of that offense who are going to have one of their better games of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Peterson uses it as a time to assert his team into the conversation of best team in the AFC, though we all know that's probably not the case. This guy wants to trade me Diggs, Swift, and I give up Adams, Pittman, Zach who? Charbonnet, Moss. I'd rather have Diggs and Swift. I feel like it's a trap, but I'd rather have Diggs and Swift. Karen Brown, Tua. Karen, Tua is a phenomenal start this week. Now, I do warn you, Tua has been on a long stretch of only throwing one touchdown pass in games. I think that's going to end this week. I think Tua, by the way, on the road I meant. Only throwing one touchdown while on the road. I think that ends this week. I think he has a really good game against the Washington Commanders. I expect him to put a couple touchdowns in the end zone and have big stats. I'd go Tua over Herbert. By the way, I must have the heat on to like full blast because I sit in this chair compared to where I was and I'm like, man, it's cooking over here. My nose is running now. Hi, Najee or Singletary. I like them both this week, actually, but I'll go Devin Singletary. I feel like because he's RB1 on his team, I know Dameon Pierce is coming back, but the way Singletary's performed recently, I think Singletary is going to get the greater opportunities. I'll go Singletary over Najee just barely, but funny enough, they're two of the better starting running backs in the entire NFL this week. EMN, Kittle or Schultz? George Kittle. George Kittle is a phenomenal play this week. Eagles give up a lot of touchdowns to tight ends, guys. Keep your eye on that. Carson, what to do with Jonathan Taylor? Personally, I think that he might be done for the year. I know they're saying it's 2-3 weeks, but if the Colts fall out of the playoff race, are they really going to challenge him to come back? Maybe, but I feel like you might need to move on to other options. Thoughts on Deebo Samuel? I'm expecting a big game from him in all-purpose yards. I think Brandon Ayuk is going to be the better wide receiver in that game, but I think Deebo Samuel is still going to put up massive numbers. The funny part is, where does Christian McCaffrey fall in this game? I love George Kittle. I love Brandon Ayuk. I really like Deebo Samuel. Is Christian McCaffrey actually going to have a bad game, but everyone else succeeds? I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. Maybe he succeeds in the passing game, but I feel like if you're the Eagles, you're going to want to take him away, number one. And I actually think the 49ers have learned how they can succeed without him. Without him being, bench one, Thielen, Najee, or Puka. Oh, it'd be Puka. Novak, I'd bench Puka. Josh, Rice or Sutton? Great question. I'm going to lean towards Sutton on that one. We've been talking about Sutton and some other wide receivers. On that one, I'm going to go Sutton. I actually think Sutton's got the better matchup, and because he's a wide receiver one, I trust that he'll get enough targets. Dr. Jackal, Schultz, Logan Thomas. I'm going Schultz on this one. I understand that the Broncos are a good pass defense, but I still think Schultz is going to get enough targets. Excuse me. Cade Blaylock, Bucks or Jags defense? I'd go Jaguars, Cade. Excuse me again. Forgive me. Okay. Christian McCaffrey for Eckler and CeeDee Lamb. Yes, I actually would do that deal. You're getting enough value back there. Fotana, start Kyler or Russell Wilson? Ooh, good question. I'm going to lean towards Russell Wilson, believe it or not. It's probably a tricky one because Kyler Murray's rushing yards and production might make the difference, and that's why it's closer. It's a tougher one than I'd like it to be because Kyler Murray, I think, is going to get a rushing touchdown against the Steelers. That said, Wilson's matchup is more favorable. I'll take Russell Wilson to continue to perform well. D-Clan Holmstrom, start 4. St. Brown, Allen, Bijan, Hall, Kyron, Dell, and Chase. Well, I'm going to start Keenan Allen. I'm going to start Bijan. I'll start Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I'll say Dell is the 4th. I'll say Dell is the 4th on that one. If you guys actually give me one quick second, I need to change napkins. Okay. Crazy. Clearly coming down with a cold. Brock Ford, you think Jones or Breece Hall this week? If Aaron Jones is healthy enough, I'd prefer him, but we got to check on his status. Clark, Warren or Swift, and Chase or Puka. Clark, I'm going to go Chase over Puka in probably a surprising move. And as for Warren or Swift, I'm going to go Warren. So Clark, it's Warren and Chase for me. I'm kind of fading Puka this week. John, Cup or Downs? I'm going to go Josh Downs. Same thing. I'm kind of fading the Rams in general as they go up against the Cleveland Browns. Tyler, Russell Wilson or Gardner Minshew? I'll go Russell Wilson. Tyler, I'll go Russell Wilson just barely. I think they're going to put up very similar stats. Again, it's a question of, is Minshew going to run for a touchdown like he did last week? Kind of similar to the Kyler Murray question we had a moment ago. Brandon Castillo, Colts or Titans defense? I don't really like either one. If I had to go with one, I'd probably go Colts defense, though. Ed Killer, Henry, Montgomery, Pacheco, and Etienne. Which three to start? Henry, Pacheco, and Etienne. Ed Killer, 53. Henry, Pacheco, and Etienne would be the three. Rafi, do I start Najee or Jaylen Warren? I'm going to go Jaylen Warren. I know Najee outscored him last week, but Jaylen Warren's the RB1 in that offense, and I'll trust the depth chart on that one. McMack, Warren, Collins, or Jalen Reed? It's going to be Jaylen Warren on that one. Toby, start three. I'd go Dell. I'd go Olave. I'll go Olave, Waddle, and Rice. I'll go Olave, Waddle, and Rice. I'll go Waddle, Olave, and Rice, Toby, but it's close. Grant Carl, Sutton, Garrett Wilson, or James Conner? Grant Carl, it's Cortland Sutton for me. Heber, Kamara, or Etienne? Etienne. Heber, it's Etienne. Dex, start two, Olave, Collins, or Cup? I'm going to go with Olave as long as he's a full go. We're hearing they practiced today. That's obviously a positive. I'll go Olave out of that group. Adam, who do I start in my RB2 spot? Bijan, Kyron, or Gibbs? Got to be Bijan. Bijan's got a phenomenal matchup this week. Testing, 73. Minshew, Geno, Stafford. Out of that group, I'm going Minshew. Minshew's got the most favorable matchup testing. And Minshew, by the way, again, he produces a few more points with his legs than you'd ever expect. Stepa, I'd go Warren over Swift. Nick, I'd go Cowboys defense. As well as I think the Steelers defense could perform, I still have more faith in this Cowboys defense to actually put up big numbers. I'm talking defensive touchdowns. Drew, 73-82. Should I start Joe Mixon, Brown, or Deontay Johnson? Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson out of that group is the one to start. Thanks so much for showing out with the Deebo Samuel picture. Mark Gonzalez, two-part question, okay? Singletary or Robinson? Singletary would be one, and bench one of that group. I would bench Collins. So I would start Singletary, and I would bench Collins. There you go, Mark. Grant Carl, I'm going to lean just barely towards Singletary. It's very close for me on that one. You're asking about Singletary or Godwin. Very close. I'm going to lean towards Singletary, but it's close. Are the Jets an okay defense to play? Yes, they are, Toby. However, if Myles Garrett is playing in that game for the Browns, I actually might start the Browns defense. Lethal Jake, start three. I'd go Pickens, Reed, and Godwin. I don't think I'd start London. I'm going to assume that London's going to be covered by Sauce Gardner in that one. Again, the Jets are a bad run defense, but they're a good pass defense. I'll go Godwin, Reed, and Pickens out of that group, Lethal Jake. Hey, Pawpaw, Ridley or Cup? Calvin Ridley. Hey, Pawpaw. Julian, Hollywood Brown, Olave, Devontae, Eckler, Collins, Downs, start three. Olave would be one. Downs would be two. Devontae Smith is going to be the third for me. It's close between Devontae and Eckler. It's close. I'm going to say Devontae, but it's because Eckler's got a tricky one. The Patriots are a better defense than people think, but Eckler, honestly, I hate putting it this way because it doesn't play that way, but Eckler's a little bit due. Like, he's had some bad games over the last few weeks, and you would expect Brandon Staley is going to encourage his offensive coordinator to actually get Austin Eckler involved a little bit more. So I'm a little bit wary about this, but I'll take Devontae Smith over Eckler. I just think Eckler could find the end zone. That's the concern I have. Camden Baker, start 1. Out of that group, very close. I'll go Singletary as the one I like the most out of that group. Sutton would be 2, Camden. D-Hop, a close 3rd, but Lockett, I'm not feeling as much. Cole, flex Achan or Downs. Man, tricky. If Achan's fully healthy, I would go Achan, but you'll hear reports on it, Cole. I'm going to lean towards Achan actually on that one, slightly over Downs. Sports Media 24/7. Is Sam Howell and Juwan Johnson a good replacement for Josh Allen and Hawkinson this week? The Juwan Johnson's a really creative play. I got to give you credit on that one. I'm not as big on Sam Howell this week. I feel like there might be some other quarterbacks that actually you could find on the waiver wire. This is a bizarre week actually where there are some names against bad defenses that could actually pop. So that said, I'm not as big on Sam Howell. He's kind of been a waiver wire hero for most of the season, but I don't feel it this week as much. Emmanuel Perez, I'd go Bijan Robinson. Emmanuel Perez, Bijan Robinson. Reversed, pick 3, Etienne, Pollard, and I'm going to lean just slightly, I think, towards Moss. Barely over Kamara. Very, very close, but that's where I end up reversed. Tyler Ola. Pacheco is a must start, and I prefer Pierce over Hubbard, actually. Brandon, pick 2. I'd go Warren, and if he's healthy, I might consider Aaron Jones, but you won't necessarily know in time, so Moss, I feel like, is the safer play. Grant Carl, bench Puka or Godwin. I'm benching Puka. I'm kind of fading Puka and the Rams offense this week. Asian Blubs, Minshew, Carr, or Pickett. Good question. All 3 have the potential to actually have really good weeks. I'll lean slightly, I think, towards Minshew because I don't trust Derek Carr enough. But I think the order would be Minshew, Carr, Pickett in that order of how they perform. Tony, Tua or CJ Stroud. Happy that you brought that one up. That actually is a matchup I studied earlier today for a Rival Fantasy Challenge. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Rival Fantasy has these challenge games where you could pick between 2 players. Whoever has more fantasy points, you bet it. Cash in. We've done really well on it. That said, Tua. I looked at this matchup specifically for the Rival Fantasy Challenge this week, and I really like Tua. The opportunity against the Washington Commanders. And on the other side, CJ Stroud is playing a Denver Broncos defense that ever since that 70-point game is actually one of the better defenses in the NFL. So as much as we talk about, the Denver Broncos have really bad, per game stats, that's really triggered in a lot of ways by that one game being such a dominant force in skewing things that way. So I think CJ Stroud's going to be intercepted at least once. I think he could struggle sometimes to get the ball down the field like he's been accustomed to. We've seen the Denver Broncos play some good defense over the last few weeks, so that's where I lean on it. Trinidad, thanks so much for the support. Let us know how we can be of help. Trinidad asks, thanks in advance, we got you. McBride or London in a PPR? I'd go Trey McBride. The PPR is the only thing that kind of has me curious. Is London going to get more overall targets? Yes. But that said, McBride's probably the overall better play. I don't like London's matchup against Sauce Gardner. By the way, London versus Sauce, that's just a cool sounding matchup. But that said, Trey McBride is the player I prefer. Thanks so much for hitting us up. Hope that answers not just your question now, but hopefully you come back for more. Tank Mosher, trade Alvin Kamara for Justin Jefferson. I'm in the playoffs. I don't know what Justin Jefferson is. I'd keep Kamara. To be honest. Rigo TV, PPR, Mixon or Najee? You got to go Najee this week, Rigo TV. I'd go Najee. Brock Ford, does limited practice on Wednesday normally mean they'll play? I'll say it's a positive sign. When they're not practicing on Wednesday, that's where we start to get concerned. Limited practice, I actually feel like is a positive sign because Wednesday really is, we're getting back out there. We're easing into the game. We're putting in the game plan. So Wednesday is always a week, not putting in the game plan, but starting to study the opponent necessarily. So I like that they're out there, even limited. I think that is a positive, Brock Ford. Christian Velasquez, Gibbs, Kamara, Stevenson. Sit one. I'd sit Stevenson. Daniel P. Going to the Raptors-Suns game tonight. Love it. Any picks for that game? Unfortunately, I'm leaning towards the Suns in that one. Unfortunately, I am going Suns on the money line, but you will be happy to know what I'm taking for the total. So let's put that pick up on the board. Suns money line is a pick that we like tonight, but I'm also taking the Suns and Raptors. I took it over 220. That's a bet that I like tonight. So hope you have a great time at the game. Enjoy. Hopefully you see a lot of scoring. Billy Cooper, pick 2. Eckler, Moss, Kyron Williams. I'm going to go Moss and Eckler. Don't like Kyron Williams' matchup, especially if Myles Garrett plays. Derek, Mostert or Najee Harris? I'm going to go Mostert on this one. Very close, Derek, but I'll go Mostert. Funny Money, 84. Ooh, Mixon or Jerome Ford? Jerome Ford. Mixon's matchup against Jacksonville is actually not favorable. They're a good run defense. Bobby, Jordan Love or Jared Goff for the rest of the year? Jared Goff. Jordan Love had a great game. So happy to hear that he's starting to trend up for the Packers. But let's not confuse things. Jared Goff has performed really well. He's had some bad games here and there, but overall, I like their offensive line more. I like their receivers more. I love their running game, which only opens up the play-action pass that allows Jared Goff to be successful. I'm not going to overreact to that Thanksgiving game. I'll keep Jared Goff as the number one out of those two. Easy Eric, Gus or Keaton rest of year? Well, Gus Edwards is the touchdown play. So if you're looking for somebody who's just going to consistently be in that red zone carry opportunity, I'd go Gus. So I think Gus is actually the better own. I think Keaton Mitchell, it's a lot like Raheem Mostert and Achane. A lot of people are dazzled by Achane. The truth of the matter is Mostert's been the better play because when he's on the field more frequently, given injuries, and 2, he gets touchdowns. All we're asking for is touchdowns from running backs. They get a touchdown, the rest is pretty much irrelevant almost. Bryce, Bijan or Ramondre? Bryce, I'd go Bijan. Chase, I'd go Pittman over Dell. Hayden Poor, I'd go Dell over Hollywood Brown. It's close though. Maui O, Niners or Chiefs defense? I'd go Chiefs defense. Maui O, I'd go Chiefs defense. I'm hearing Lane Johnson will be playing this Sunday. That is a huge lift for the Eagles. Big start. Masked Panda, great to see you. 2 questions. Flex, I would go with Higgins, and I'd go Trevor Lawrence. Higgins and Trevor Lawrence. Carter, 22, is Zach Moss a league winner? No, let's not overreact. He's going to be a good start for some of you, though. Zach Bates, Charbonnet, because Kenneth Walker III isn't going to be playing, Charbonnet is a better start. I'd go Charbonnet and Williams, I think. Frosty, JJ and Ramondre for Pittman and ETN. Frosty, love the trade. If you're getting Pittman and ETN, love the trade. Drew Hazard, I'd go Freiermuth. Ranger, sit one. I'd sit Kamara. I'm going to sit Kamara, and I'm going to bank on the fact that Montgomery gets those red zone opportunities, even against good defenses. David Montgomery is going to get in the end zone. I'll say David Montgomery and Pacheco. You know I love Pacheco, though. Andre TMC, Chase for Pittman. Yeah, I don't love it, but yeah, it's probably worth doing. I ask for more. Ask for a throw-in. Ian, Trey McBride or Freiermuth? I'd go Freiermuth. Ian, I'd go Freiermuth, and I'd go Trevor Lawrence. Freiermuth and Trevor Lawrence would be the 2. Thanks so much, Ian. The OG big fella, Al Horford MVP odds are shrinking by the day. It's getting closer. The OG big fella, Al Horford performed really well yesterday. By the way, I love Al Horford. From his days at Florida, the guy is just a winner. The guy just does everything the right way. Lethal Jake, Falcons or Bucks defense this week? Both seem decent. Both are decent. I'm going to lean towards maybe the Falcons just because the quarterback situation for New York is so abysmal, but it's kind of where I shake out on it. Armando V, love Kyler or Howell? I'd go Kyler. Kyler would be the one, Armando. Chris, pick 2. Rashee Rice and Deontay Johnson. Rice and Johnson. Damn Dirty Grape, pick 2. By the way, I love that handle, Damn Dirty Grape. I love seeing it every time. Pick 2, must win. I'd go Warren and Connor. And I would not bank on Cooper Kupp. I feel like Cooper Kupp at this point is a trap week to week. Warren is a great start. Don't worry about him. And Connor, if nothing else, I feel like Connor's floor is almost higher than Kupp's at this point. Y'all listen meow, another great handle. I'd go Cortland Sutton, y'all listen meow. Every time I see that, I always think of Super Troopers. So I'd go Cortland Sutton, though, y'all listen meow. Carson, should I trade JT, Pittman, Laporta for Devontae, Kittle, and Lamar? No, you already have Trevor Lawrence. No, I wouldn't do it. I understand why you're thinking it because you're moving on from JT, but actually, I'm not crazy about it. I like Pittman and Laporta. I don't know if I'm actually getting better from that trade, bizarrely. Carter 22, Schultz or Taysom Hill? Tricky. I'm going to say for the moment Taysom Hill, but it's close. Reverse, thoughts on Kyren Williams this week? If Myles Garrett doesn't play, he is a much better start. If Myles Garrett does play, he falls into that dislike or hate category when it comes to a running back. N Blood, Chargers, Falcons, Jets. I'd go Falcons. N Blood, I'd go Falcons. Do you think KD plays tonight? Daniel P, hoping so. Still waiting on word, though. Let me see if there's been an update. Still waiting on word. List is questionable. I haven't heard anything yet. Check Twitter. Sherry, pick 2. I'd go Singletary, and I'm going to say Eckler. Sherry, I'll go Singletary and Eckler. By the way, thanks for being awesome, Sherry. User 9477, pick 1 for the flex. I'm going to lean just maybe slightly towards Brian Robinson Jr., user 94, but it's close. Chuba Hubbard, a good start? No, he's not. Sorry, Angelo. Or sorry, Sam Nava. He's not. Angelo, Herbert or Kyler Murray? I'm going to lean maybe just slightly towards Justin Herbert. It's close, though. Kyler Murray's rushing yards could be the difference or rushing stats, but I like Herbert. Nathan Beatty, sit 1. Gibbs, Eckler, Moss. I'm going to sit Montgomery out of that group, actually. I think Gibbs has the better game than Montgomery. Derek, sit 1, Deontay Johnson, Puka, Dell, Collins. Out of that group, I'd sit Puka. Derek. Act JJ Stroud or Justin Herbert. I'm going to lean towards Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert ends up having the better game. Tyler Miles, how do you feel about Kyren rest of season? I actually think he's a good own rest of season. Joe White, Kupp or Garrett Wilson? Tricky one on this one, Joe White. I like Garrett Wilson actually a little bit more in the matchup that he has. So I'll go Garrett Wilson, though I don't like the quarterback. Joe, that's one in which I don't feel great about saying I'm backing Tim Boyle. So maybe I come back on that one later in the week. But at first blush, the better matchup's on his side. Logan Thomas or Trey McBride? Tyler, I'd go Trey McBride. How long is JT projected to be out? They're saying 2-3 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the longer side. Daniel P, I'd go Deontay Johnson. Daniel P, Deontay Johnson. Jorge, I'd go Downs over Puka. Tyler Carr, Gibson or Pierce is a really good one, but I'll go Dameon Pierce. Coming back from injury, he's got a good matchup. I'll go Dameon Pierce just barely. Derek, Hollywood Brown or Najee? I'm going to lean towards Najee. It's close, though, but I'll lean towards Najee. User 9477, Juwan Johnson or Otten to cover during bye week? Good question. I actually kind of like where your head's at. Again, I mentioned Juwan Johnson earlier. It's kind of an interesting play, right? That said, I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson over Otten. It's very close, but I'll go Johnson. Dak or Stroud? Brian, Texas, I'd go Dak. Brian, Texas, I'd go with Dak. I put out actually something, I posted something on my feed on Instagram that was Dak's over/under 1.5 passing touchdowns on the at home over the last 10 games. Been a very good bet. It's been a very good bet. By the way, if you want more of those, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. Daniel, I traded Kupp for DJ Moore. Great trade. That was a phenomenal trade, Daniel. Jordy, Jalen, CJ. I'd go Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the better play this week, I actually think. Close, but I'll go Jalen Hurts. Sam, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, both are great plays. Wow. If I had to go between one, I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence. Very close. I'll say Trevor Lawrence. And the reason why is, as bad as Trevor Lawrence has been at home at times, the matchup's so favorable, I'm going to trust Trevor Lawrence as a bigger game. It's close, though. Man, two of my favorite quarterbacks this week. Appreciate you guys being awesome. I'm going to throw out some more picks because we hit our live goal. Really appreciate you guys just being awesome, hooking us up with this live goal. So if you're watching on TikTok, listen up. If you're watching over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, let's give out some more picks for all of you guys out there. A few more picks for tonight's action. I like the Lakers on the money line tonight, and I'm expecting Anthony Davis to have a big game. Anthony Davis, I think he's going to go over his point total. He had a bad game against the 76ers, and this is a far lesser opponent. So I'm expecting Anthony Davis to come back in a strong way. Kind of tends to be his MO against kind of a tougher opponent, kind of wilters at this point. Meanwhile, he comes back, has a big performance against a lesser opponent, and everyone's like, oh, see, Anthony Davis is still one of those elite players, whether it's true or not. I think that's how it's going to play out. The narrative kind of holds true. So the point total that I'm seeing is 23.5. The over on this is obviously the better play. Just want to make sure we're pulling it over. Are they showing the points on this? Let's get points. There we go. So you see it's a good implied probability on here. Hasn't been a great trend, but against bad opponents, kind of a good play. So that's where we're taking it, 23.5 as well. Two picks for you, real off the bat. Let's give out another pick. Let's make it an NHL pick for you guys. Not too many NHL games going on tonight, but we'll give out a few picks tonight. Canadians, Blue Jackets. We're taking the under 6.5. I also got it at under 7. Only 3 NHL games tonight, so, you know. Oh, 555. My opponent has Dak and CD. Should I start DK for Thursday, Kirk for Monday, or Rashad White? Rashad White is actually, I think, the best start. It's close between White and Kirk. Those would be the two I'd want in my lineup. Lewis Rathwell, I'd go Singletary. Lewis Rathwell, I'd go Singletary. Max Hewitt, I'd go Ridley just barely over Hopkins. It is close, though. John, I'd go Brown's defense. John, Brown's defense. John Maloney, I'd go Warren. John Maloney, I'd go Warren. Carson, who do I trade JT for? I have no idea where to start. Think of a wide receiver that someone might throw in, or think of a tight end that you might want to target. Wild West 44, is Rice a good start? I think he's a good start, yes. I don't love the matchup against Jair Alexander if he does play. But that said, I still think he's going to get targeted plenty of times. I think Rashee Rice is the wide receiver one on that Chiefs depth chart. So I do like him. I do think he's a good start. Goo, start 2. Warren, Singletary, Madison, Etienne, Moss, or Stevenson. If I'm starting 2, it's going to be Warren and Etienne. Those would be the 2. Thank you so much, IP Shade 45. Appreciate you. Guys, we're rocking through our show about half hour, 40 minutes into our show since we started a little bit early. We are going to do a subscriber-only show tonight, so make sure you guys subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. That way you join us for tonight's show. Seth DeVore, wide receiver core, rest of season, Moore, Dell, Flowers, Downs. Really good. Really like it, Seth. Well done. Bravo, man. Lucas Rathwell. I like Downs over Collins. Downs over Collins. Diego, drop Godwin for Downs. Don't love it rest of season, but I like it this week if you were trying to make a sneaky move. But you might lose Godwin for rest of season. Torch Lake kid, need 2 running backs and a flex. I'd go Pacheco, I'd go Singletary, and I'd go Deebo Samuel. Pacheco, Singletary, and Deebo Samuel, Torch Lake kid. YMB, Cook on bye, and Aaron Jones probably not playing, so start Tajee. I'd go Spears. I'd go Spears, YMB. 2K Sway. I'm going to lean just slightly towards Moss, I think. It's close, though. Jesus, pick 3. Downs would be 1. Sutton would be 2. Higgins would be 3. Downs, Sutton, and Higgins would be the 3. Brady. I'd go Cortland Sutton. Brady, I'm going to go Cortland Sutton just barely. P2 money. Is that a euro? No, it's a pound. P2 pound. P2 pound. Start 2. I'd go Ayuk and Devontae Smith. Ayuk and Devontae Smith. J. Start Collins or DK. Good question. I'm going to lean just slightly towards Collins. Close, but I'll lean towards Collins, actually. Hunter. Cowboys defense versus... I'm almost thinking about turning around on that, Jay, because DK could get a touchdown. DK could score a touchdown. I don't think he's going to have big yardage, but he could score a touchdown. Between the 20s, I think I like Collins more, but it's close. Hunter, Cowboys defense versus Seahawks, Falcons defense versus Jets. I'm going to lean slightly, I think, towards the Falcons. I don't love it, but I like the matchup enough. Zach Rhodes, pick 2. I'd go Ridley and Thielen. Ridley and Thielen, those have the better matchup. Jordy, I'd go Deontay Johnson, Jordy. Deontay Johnson. Richard, Kyler Murray or Jordan Love? Great question. I'd go Kyler Murray. Richard, I'd go Kyler Murray. Juju, Chuba Hubbard, Noah Brown, Josh Downs. Juju, I'd go Josh Downs. Josh Downs, Juju. Carman, 18. Trying to acquire Warren. Would you drop Walker or Taylor? Need to win out. I drop Taylor. I drop Jonathan Taylor, I think. The likelihood Kenneth Walker comes back sooner is greater. Andrew, Higgins, Rice, Ferguson. I'll go Rice. Andrew, I'll go Rice. Kyle Bond, Chargers defense against the Pats. 49ers versus the Eagles. Oh, you know what it's going to be. It's Chargers defense against that Patriots offense. Max Hewitt, start 1. I'm going to say Calvin Ridley, Max. I'll say Calvin Ridley. Diego, Ferguson. Diego, go with Ferguson. Seth, I'm going to lean slightly, I think, towards Russ. Very close, though. Very close. Your mom, I'd go Bijan. Your mom, I'd go Bijan. Will, Connor or Najee? I'd go Najee Harris. I would go Najee Harris. Inky Baby, McLaurin, Flowers, or Downs rest of season? I'm going to say Zay Flowers. Ever since Mark Andrews went down, Zay Flowers' importance to that offense absolutely jumps, so I'm going to say Zay Flowers. Garrett, Montgomery or Debo? Oh, Garrett, you got to go with Debo Samuel this week. Debo is a great matchup against the Eagles' pass defense that has struggled. Anonymous Gaming 999, should I keep both the Jets and Steelers in an 8-man league? Yeah, I actually think you're okay keeping both of them, given the matchups that they have over the coming weeks. Appreciate you guys being with us, no matter the platform, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. Make sure you're subscribing. We are live every single day, 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. on the weekends. And we do subscriber shows at night, usually around 10:30 on TikTok. So make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. That way you never miss a show. Always get the advice. Always join the conversation wherever we can. Just a quick rant for you guys. College football playoffs. They put out the rankings, and I actually thought they were perfect. Really looking forward to this week's games, obviously. Personally, I think that if Washington wins out, they got to be in there. I think the winner of the Pac-12's got to be in. Even if it's Oregon, I think they belong in. Pac-12 winner should be in. I think Michigan's going to beat Iowa, so it makes it easy on that one. They're in. I think Georgia's in no matter what. If Georgia loses to Alabama, I think Georgia still deserves to be in, so Georgia's in my estimation. And then it's all about Florida State. I think Florida State is going to win this week against Louisville. I've gone back and forth on this one. It would make life easier if they lost for the committee, but I think Florida State's going to pull out the emotional win and carry themselves into the playoff. And then I think they're going to get blown out. And I think they will be put in there, but I think they are going to get absolutely rocked, and I think it's going to be one of those, like we've seen in past years, where the semifinals are duds, where the national championship, well, we get like one good semifinal, and then the national championship is what we're really caring about. FLA, B-Rad, Lockett or Jaden Reed? FLA, I'm going to lean just slightly, I think, towards Jaden Reed. Nathaniel, wow. Natalie, butchered that. Pick up Russell Wilson or Mayfield. I'd go Russell Wilson. Zach Rhodes, McBride just listed questionable for a groin injury. Should I start Ferguson or wait on McBride? I'd be okay starting Ferguson. Between the 20s, he'll have good production. I don't know if he's going to score a touchdown tomorrow. Feel like Pollard gets in. Feel like CeeDee Lamb scores one. Don't know if Ferguson gets it, but I'd be okay starting Ferguson if McBride is too risky for you, Zach. AJ, drop Moss or Najee. Both are good starts this week. If I had to drop one, I drop Najee because Zach Moss is going to be the better own the rest of the season. Nawaf, Singletary or Aaron Jones. Nawaf, I'd go Singletary. Singletary over Jones. Toby, do you have any fighting bets? Great UFC card this week. Funny enough, I was just talking to our UFC expert today. If you guys want to hear those picks, we're going to give them out this probably Friday. Probably during Friday's show, he'll join us. So make sure you join us for that one. He's putting together his picks now. JP, you see it up on my board. Love it, love it. Kyle Bond, Henry would absolutely be there. Connor would be there. And I'll go Javonte Williams, just barely. Toby, love to hear it. Hope you have a great time. Talon O'Connor, I'm going to lean slightly towards Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, Talon O'Connor. Allens, who should I start, Purdy or Lawrence? Great question. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence. I will go Trevor Lawrence just barely. Both quarterbacks don't have big games, but I'll go Trevor Lawrence. Fotana, I'd go Evan Ingram. Fotana, I'd go Evan Ingram. Alternative, Hurts and Adams for Dobbs and Hill. I'd rather have Hurts and Adams. Proud Poppy, Joe Flacco, worth the grab? No, I'd keep my hands to myself. Max Hewitt, start two. I'd go Pacheco and I'd go Pierce right now. I'm not loving Aaron Jones starting this week, Max, so I'd go Pacheco and Pierce for the moment. RW, pick three. I'd go Rice. I'd go Reed. Shakir isn't playing for the Bills. And I'd go Rice, Reed, and I'll go Chase as the third. Judy Hernandez, start three. Dell, Waddle, Montgomery, Stevenson, or Connor. I'm going to go Connor. I'm going to go Waddle. And I'll lean just barely, I think, towards Dell over Montgomery, but it's very close. Stormy Samuels, 69. CJ Stroud or Kyler Murray for the playoffs? CJ Stroud. E. Andres, pick two. I'd go Sutton and Ridley. And I'd start Kyler Murray. E. Andres, I'd go Sutton, Ridley, and Kyler Murray. Garrett Wilson, drop Walker for Stevenson. Yeah, I don't love Stevenson this week, but yes, since Walker probably won't play tomorrow. User 13811, Singletary over Connor. User 13811, Singletary over Connor. EMN, pick two for the flex. I'd go Josh Downs and Singletary. EMN, I'd go Josh Downs and Singletary. Appreciate all of you guys being with us, no matter the platform. TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Hope you guys are loving the show. We are live every single day talking sports betting, fantasy sports, everything that you guys need. And we get so much of our help from this Outlier app that we use every single day to do our research, check out the trends, data, analytics behind every bet that we make, all of our fantasy advice. This is one of the best tools around. We're checking out Paul George over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight. This was a shout out from JP who was curious about this one. Like it over the last 4 games, certainly a good play. Head to head is a good one as well. If we look at it up on the big board, you can see has performed well. And over the last 20, 11 out of 20. Not crazy, but good. But it's these last 4 games in a row against Sacramento where it's come up. One thing I do like, when it opened, there was some time where there was no movement on it, but eventually it did tick up, has bounced between the two. I don't hate on it. Obviously, when you see the matchups, assists is a good play. Points is a good play. Rebounds, less so. But I do like the bet overall. But based on these two things I just saw, what about points and assists together? That's cashed 4 games in a row. How is that done over the last 20? That's done even better at 12 out of the last 20. Over the last 10, maybe not as good. But this is actually a good one as well. Points and assists over 27.5 for Paul George. That's something that I'm going to add on to my picks. And I'll tack on yours as well, JP. I'll put those in right after I'm done with the show. AJ, start Chaser, Dell. I'm going to say start Dell, just barely. Will, I'd go Sutton over Cup. Cod, pick 2. I'd go Rice, and I'll I'll go Rice and Collins. Cod, I'll go Rice and Collins. Jesus, Jesus. Bucks or Jets defense for this week. I'll go tricky. I'll go with the Bucks. Adrian Gotways, Herbert or Dak rest of season. Great question, Adrian Gotways. I'll say Dak. Nawaf, I'll pick 2. I'd go Ayuk, and I'll go Tank Dell. Ayuk and Tank Dell, Nawaf. Kevin, JJ, and Ramondre for Pittman and ETN. Love it, Kevin. Great job. Great trade. Fort, when will your parlay bets be posted on SHARPZ? They should be up there already. If it's not, I'll refresh it when we're done with the show, and that way they'll be all up there. But as for the NFL picks, I've already started to put some of those in. I thought I already had my college basketball picks in, my NBA picks in, my NHL picks in. I thought everything was already up on the board for tonight. Is Jake Ferguson a good start? Max, he is. He's not a great start. He's a good start. Drew, I'd go Ridley. Juan, great to see you. Juan, I'd go Tua. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks this week. Carman, start 3. Warren, Pacheco, and Pollard. Carman 18, Warren, Pacheco, and Pollard would be the 3. And starting 2 of those wide receivers. Hearing Demario Douglas is in concussion protocol, so we're expecting him, he will be out. I'd go Christian Kirk and Romeo Doubs. Would be the 2. I'm not trusting Amari Cooper. I understand Joe Flacco loves to throw deep. Maybe Cooper has a better game than we expect, but I can't trust Joe Flacco just coming off the, out of retirement almost. I traded Algier for Herbert. I have Foreman on the bench just as a stash. Interesting idea to kind of stash some of those running backs. Toby, what do you think of wide receiver heading into the playoff? Probably could have done better, but had to trade J.J. Waddle, Olave, Dell, and Rice. Understand Waddle, Olave, Dell, and Rice are good owns. I think you're in a good spot, actually. Nawaf, how you feeling about Hall this week? He's okay. I don't hate him. I don't love him. He's in that kind of middle ground where if you need someone in the flex, certainly think that he's a decent start. V-Lone Soldier, do you think Olave will play this week? Yes, I do. By the way, guys, thank you for helping me complete my live goal. Appreciate you guys doing that. Hope all of you guys are enjoying the show. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. Make sure you do subscribe, and make sure you guys are with us every day, because this is what we do here at Butt Fumble Sports. And by the way, we will do another subscriber-only show tonight where we are going to have you guys join the show if you want. We'll have guests join the show, ask questions. We could talk about what's going on in the sports world. We are going to do that subscriber-only show around 10:30 tonight. So if you're watching over on TikTok, make sure you subscribe. We'll answer a lot of your fantasy questions, a lot of your sports betting questions, obviously give you kind of personal attention, but we're also going to open it up to guests and treat it like a true radio show and let you guys talk a little bit. Jay, Bijan, Olave, or Williams? Right now, I'd go Bijan 1, Olave 2. Adrian Gotways, how do you feel about the Steelers-Cardinals under 41.5? I like the under in that game, Adrian Gotways. I would probably buy up the points a little bit. I like it closer to 44.5 because I can see both teams getting to around the 17-20 mark. And then it's a question of, is there an extra field goal mixed in? But Adrian Gotways, the answer is the under is the better play. Diego is Beast is asking me about Dennis Schroeder. Let's go take a look at that really quick. So I know you were asking about points and assists, but I'm going to open it up right now, points, rebound, and assists, because they actually had a good implied probability on the over. This is cashed in 5 of the last 7 games, but this is a bad matchup overall against this team. Suns overall pretty good at stopping the rebounds and the assist game. So let's check it out in your points and assist total. This is cashed even more consistently. 6 out of the last 7. Again, maybe not as crazy about it as others would be. How about over the last 20? Decent play. No head-to-head data to speak of. This is feeling like a bit of a trap for me. I don't love it, actually. I tend to fade it maybe a little bit. I like the idea of him being around the 19-20 mark, but can he get to 22? Feels like a little bit high to me. Part of the reason why I think it's priced where it is at minus 102. So you might want to fade this one. If you're going to take anything, points might be an interesting play. Hasn't cashed in the last 2 games, but prior to that was a good play. Let's look at it specifically in home games. 3 straight games at home this is cashed. And again, not as good a team. By the way, let's zoom back out. Points and assists at home. It's the same as it was. Same as it was. Tyler Miles, next year, do you think Marvin Harrison Jr., how do I think Marvin Harrison will do in fantasy? I think it really depends on the team he's going to be on. Let me say Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a monster. I think he is the best wide receiver prospect to enter the draft since Calvin Johnson. And I know that's really high praise, but I really do believe Marvin Harrison is a once-in-a-generation talent. I think no matter where he goes, he will be successful. However, for his sake, I really hope he goes to a good place. And I know that there's a small chance that happens, but I actually think the best place for him would be Chicago. Justin Fields is talented enough. They have another draft pick, which means they can add to the O-line. And if you pair him with DJ Moore, that's a problem. DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. on each side of the field could be the best 1-2 combination in the NFL. So if you're the Bears, I love what they're doing on the defensive side of the field. I actually think the Bears have a better defense. They showed it a little bit in Minnesota than people think. You are one good left tackle and one good wide receiver away from being a legitimate team. Not being a championship team, being a wild card team. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr. goes there, he succeeds. He goes to Arizona, I worry a little bit because I don't know what Kyler Murray is. I don't know what the future is. Troublesome. Now, I actually think New England would work out a little bit for Marvin Harrison Jr. simply because Mac Jones ain't the future, Bailey Zappi ain't the future, which means they're going to double dip in the draft. Whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's Michael Penix, whether it's Jaden Daniels, the Patriots will be drafting a quarterback that will be the future of their franchise. Now, I think the Patriots would rather have Drake May or Caleb Williams than Marvin Harrison, but if they're sitting at 3, I don't think they'll reach on a running back, on a quarterback. I think they'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. and be happy to have a generational talent. But if I'm Marvin Harrison Jr., I think Chicago could end up being the best play, but Chicago would have to trade out of that pick most likely. Huddy, should I do Kirk and Montgomery for Kyron? I'd rather have Kirk and Montgomery. Kirk and Montgomery are the 2 I'd own. Aaron, which player should I target for Diggs? I'd keep Diggs. Why do you want to give up Diggs? I like that own. Maybe this week, the bye week, but other than that, he's a great own. Blake Maynard, Rice, Cup, or Wilson. I'd go Rashee Rice. Blake, I'd go Rashee Rice. Yo boy Alex, Singletary. Yo boy Alex, I'd go Singletary. Peace Control, Ford, Jones, or Walker. The only one of those who is probably going to start is Ford, so answers it for me. Can the Patriots snag Caleb Williams? Absolutely, and here's how it would work out. If Kyler Murray and Justin Fields play well enough in this draft, I could see either of those 2 teams not drafting a quarterback or trading back. And if they trade back, you think the Patriots, who are sitting right there, they'd only have to offer a little bit. They can go get the quarterback they really want. Other teams would have to offer a whole lot more. But Fumble Sports, Z-Roddy, do I let Thielen sell me again? No, start Debo. Z-Roddy, start Debo. Thielen's a good start this week. Debo's a much better start. I'd go Debo. Furlan, I'd go Hollywood Brown. Furlan, I'd go Hollywood Brown. Jason, 5 starters out of this group? Okay. I'd go Gerald Everett. I'd go Mingo. Oh, you have 5 starters out this week. Gotcha. I'd go Gerald Everett and I'd go Mingo. Those would be the 2. Isaiah, I do like Gibbs this week. I don't think he's a must start because the Saints are a good run defense, but it's the passing game he'll succeed. V-Lone Soldier, I'd go Browns defense. Browns defense, V-Lone. Sam, Watson or JSN? I'm gonna say Watson. It's a wide receiver 1 versus a wide receiver 3. Yo boy Alex, I'd go Freiermuth. Yo boy Alex, I'd go Freiermuth. Lawson Smith, my running backs are McCaffrey, Rashad White, Moss, and Eckler. Who do I start? I'd start Rashad White, and I'd still start Christian McCaffrey, and you just think he'll probably get a touchdown, even as hard as it'll be for him to get up and down the field between the 20s. Toby, I'm going to go Gerald Everett. Toby, I'll go Gerald Everett. Yes, Peace Control, you absolutely need to make changes. Those guys aren't looking good for your playoff run. Jeter Leader for PPR, Derrick Henry and Kamara. Bill Robinson, thanks so much for subscribing. Bill Robinson, because you subscribe, you can comment on our subscriber-only show tonight and join the show. We will allow guests to join the broadcast. and get in some questions, join the conversation. That show will probably start at around 10:30 tonight. That is for subscribers only on TikTok. So make sure you're like Bill, hit that subscriber button. Make sure you guys join us again tonight for that. Corin Nag, Thielen, Ridley, Rice, or Collins. Pick two. I'm going to go Ridley and Thielen. Corin, I'm going to go Ridley and Thielen. Dad's Life, Moss for JJ. It's okay, but Moss's value just shot up, so be mindful of that. Quay, Devontae and Hurts for CeeDee Lamb. No, I'd hold on to Devontae and Hurts. Is CeeDee Lamb a good matchup versus the Seahawks? Yo, boy, Alex, yes, he is, especially because I think he finds the end zone. Jay Sweat, Mixon or Charbonnet. I'll go Charbonnet because Kenneth Walker III is out, but I don't love it. Colin, I'd go Brock Purdy. Ben, start three. Pacheco, Moss, and I'll say Montgomery just barely. Junior, I'd go George Kittle. Junior, love George Kittle this week. Love that start. Guys, we're going to give out a few more picks for you guys to say thank you for you guys watching the show. Couple more picks for you. Next one I'm going to give out